Hey again, Daddy-O. I'm going to read some more interesting facts to you today. Rubber bands will last longer when they are refrigerated because it causes the polymers to relax. This keeps the band from breaking down as fast as it normally does. There are 293 ways to make change for $1, including change in dimes, quarters, pennies, and a combination of the two. The Grand Theft Auto franchise has lawsuits that total over $1 billion. Rockstar North has faced many legal claims of copyright and influencing young players to commit illegal acts. All the clocks in Pulp Fiction are set to 420. The eye of an ostrich is bigger than its brain, which is about the size of a billiard ball. One eye is also smaller than the other, and that is to help perceive danger at different depths on the horizon. A dime has 118 ridges on its edge. It allows a coin maker to determine if it's real or fake. This was implemented on all coins before the 18th century, which makes it much harder to counterfeit. A secretary will use their left hand for 56% of what they type on a keyboard. This is because most common letters in the English language are on the left side of the keyboard. The right side of the keyboard contains only I and N as the most common letters. The largest pair of eyes in the world belongs to a giant squid. They are the size of soccer balls and at least 15 centimeters across. The largest fish eye in the world is only 9 centimeters wide, which is the swordfish. The Pokemon Rhydon was the first ever to be created. It was designed by Ken Sugimori. Oh, I apologize, it was not. According to lead video game designer Ken Sugimori, it was the first Pokemon to ever be created by the team. Super Mario Land was the most popular game on the Game Boy during its release. It was also the first platform where Mario games had releases. To this day, Super Mario Land continues to be one of the highest ranked video games ever loved by retro gamers. The dot over the small I is called a tittle. Japan has 23 vending machines per person. Soccer balls were once used for playing basketball, as the first basketball was not produced until 1894. That means for the 3 years upon the invention of the game, people were using non-regulated balls. How dare they? A candle's flame in zero gravity will burn hot and blue because diffusion feeds the flames with oxygen. This then allows carbon dioxide to move away from the point of combustion. If you put sugar on a cut, it will make it heal faster because the granules of sugar will absorb any moisture that the bacteria thrives on. X-rays can't detect real diamonds because X-rays cannot penetrate or identify materials in a diamond. There are 7 different types of twins. Apart from the well-known identical and fraternal, these include half-identical, mirror image, mixed chromosome, superfundication, and superfetation. The national flag of Libya used to just be the color green. The plastic tips of shoelaces are called egglets. They can be made of metal. The purpose is to make the laces easier to hold when putting them through the holes of the shoes. Sign language has tongue twisters. They are called finger fumblers. Many who practice sign language over the years still fumble over certain sequences in ASL. When a penguin swims underwater, it replicates what it would look like if it were flying, and they can swim up to 25 miles an hour. Minnie Mouse's first name is not actually Minnie, it's Minerva. Minnie Mouse is a nickname that was given to the character by U.B. Urquhart and Walt Disney. Her real name is actually very rarely used. Rudolph the reindeer, as well as all of Santa's reindeer, is female. It's observed through their antlers. Female deer shed their antlers in spring and grow them back full size by winter. The male reindeer stops its growth during winter and sheds its antlers. Therefore, if a reindeer had antlers in winter, it would have to be female. A jiffy is actually a proper unit of time, in exactly 1/100th of a second. This is slower than a plank, which is a sextillion time faster. April 11th, 1954 was recorded as the most boring day in the world. Statistics show that no significant occurrences took place in the world. This was calculated by a computer search program, which could calculate the number of important events that occur all over the world simultaneously. Tiramisu translates to "take me to heaven" in Italian. It is so good it will take you to heaven. Buttermilk does not actually contain any butter. The butter in its name refers to the origin of the drink. Brunch was invented as a way of curing hangovers. This meal would be enjoyed as a late breakfast that leans more towards the fatty food. This came from the belief that alcohol causes cravings for greasy food to increase. William Hitler attempted to blackmail his uncle Adolf with threats regarding his paternal grandfather, who was a Jewish merchant. After this failed, he fled Germany and wrote an article for Look magazine titled Why I Hate My Uncle. It was after this that William joined the U.S. Navy, so Hitler's nephew betrayed him. The continental plates move at the same rate that fingernails grow. Research suggests that in some time in the far future, a supercontinent may reform because the continents are continuously moving a few centimeters every year. Sailors working for the Royal Navy need special permission to grow out their beards. Once this is approved, they are given 2 weeks to grow a full set of beard before presenting himself to a master at arms. This person then decides if the beard looks presentable enough to keep. There are fewer stars in the universe than there are trees on Earth. According to statistics, there are around 3 trillion trees on the planet and only about 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. Mary and James are the most popular names around the world. From 1917 to 2016, over 5 million baby boys were named James and 3.5 million baby girls were named Mary. Which is funny because I don't know a James. I know one James, but I don't know any Marys. Children are born less frequently on Saturdays. Most children in the world are actually born on a Thursday. Babies born on weekends in December are the least common. Danish mothers are the most hardworking moms in the world. 82% of mothers in Denmark are employed. 75 burgers are sold in a McDonald's every second. 1,700 people become millionaires every day in the US. You can't hum while holding your nose. You are more likely to have a weird or scary dream when you sleep on your stomach. That's because different sleeping positions put different pressures in your body. Sleeping in the stomach restricts other movements compared to sleeping on your side or back. Researchers believe this may be a way the intensity of your dreams differentiates. Your eyeballs do not grow or change their size as you age. Only vertical measures change, but only by a small amount. By the time you reach 20 to 21 years old, our eyes will be at their permanent state. Blue-eyed people have a higher alcohol content. Sorry, not content. That is silly. Blue-eyed people have a higher alcohol tolerance. Pubic hair lives for about 3 weeks. Male bees can only mate once. After mating with a female, the male bee's endophallus is removed. Its abdomen also rips open and results in the male bee's death. Smelling green apples can help with weight loss. A snail has 2,500 teeth. These teeth can be found on the tongue that is covered in little ridges. They eat by rubbing their tongue on food, and the ridges cut it to tiny pieces. You can die if you stay awake for 2 weeks straight. Pigeons can't fart. Farts are caused by a noticeable number of eruptions from intestinal gas. However, for a bird, their intestine is too short, which causes them to get rid of waste more frequently. Space partly smells like diesel fuel and barbecue. The amount of dying stars in our galaxy. The combustion raises a compound called polyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. One strand of hair can hold up to 3 ounces of weight. Average person's head contains about 100,000 strands of hair. If you do the math, your hair could support up to 12 tons of weight. Watching horror movies before viewing abstract art will enhance the experience. Children's book author Roald Dahl was a spy, an agent for the British Security Coordination. He was tasked to gather intel during the Second World War. NASCAR drivers lose weight while racing because of the high temperature during a race. The average driver can lose up to 10 pounds worth of weight by sweating. A race car regularly reaches temperatures of 170 degrees despite built-in ventilation. Captain Crunch was once sued for not using real berries. An American woman named Janine Sugawa was shocked to find out the cereal was falsely advertising its contents. However, the complaint was quickly dismissed when the judge stated that there's no such thing as a crunchberry. Captain Crunch's full name is Horatio Magellan Crunch, named after the famous explorer Ferdinand Magellan. His ship is also called the SS Guppy. The most widely printed book in the world is a catalog for IKEA. It has over 200 million copies circulated annually. Crocodiles are one of the planet's oldest living creatures. They have survived for over 200 million years due to their superb ability to be able to go for long periods without eating. The aurora borealis has a sister phenomenon called the aurora australis, viewed in the southern hemisphere. Bacon that has a salty taste isn't natural. It comes from curing and brining. There was a fifth member in the Beatles named Stuart Sutcliffe, a painter and bassist, who was an original member before the band came to fame. He soon later died due to a brain hemorrhage. Apple once had a clothing line. Three Musketeers bars used to have three flavors: strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla. You cannot crack your knuckles. The sound it makes is due to the gases that are released when you put pressure on them. When joints are stretched, the pockets of gas between the joints are released, making a cracking noise. Bones of a human body can multiply in density. Your funny bone is actually a nerve. It connects the shoulder to the elbow and has an ulnar nerve running along it. This nerve is responsible for sensing feeling in the ring and pinky fingers. A French pig was once executed for killing a child. A pig from the Middle Ages was tied to a crime involving a murder. The pig was said to have come in contact with a child's face, which caused complications due to the injuries. Ultimately, this led to the death of a 3-month-old child. The pig was sent to jail and eventually he was publicly executed. Pineapples are named after pine cones because of their spiky outer skin. Scotland has over 400 words to refer to snow. There are more than 200 flavors of Kit Kat in Japan, including red bean, wasabi, shinsu apple, and cherry blossom. New Zealand was once auctioned on eBay. In 2006, an Australian man auctioned the country with a starting bid of 1 cent. The bidding prices were raised to $3,000 before the officials shut it down. There's a city in Oregon called Boring. It also has a sister city called Dull in Scotland. Leeches can be used to predict the weather, as common practice in the Victorian era, but it was revealed with further research that this is not reliable. The exclamation point question mark has a term. It's called an interrobang, and it was invented during the 1960s. Combination is to express an emotional question. Only owning one guinea pig is illegal in Switzerland, as I mentioned. A man in Florida once threw a live alligator through a drive-through window. A 24-year-old man named Joshua James was being handed his order at a Wendy's drive-through before he randomly threw an alligator into the window. He was later charged for assault, theft, and the illegal possession of an alligator. Great Britain once had a number where you can report rogue traffic cones. The largest recorded snowflake was 15 inches wide. McDonald's once had bubblegum flavored broccoli to try and make kids enjoy eating vegetables. American Airlines saved money by getting rid of olives from their meals. 3 decades ago, the airline started to look into ways of how to save money. They started by removing a single olive on the first class meals, which led to an annual saving of $40,000. OMG was first used in a letter to Winston Churchill in 1917. A retired British admiral of the Royal Navy one day became excited due to headlines regarding the mobilizing forces of Britain. Excited to share the news with a colleague, the admiral quickly wrote a small acronym for "Oh my God" in his letter. Little did he know that he had just invented one of the most popular acronyms in today's society. Sailors consider black cats as good luck. A janitor invented flaming hot Cheetos. Working at the Frito-Lay plant in Southern California, a janitor pitched the idea of adding chili powder to the regular product. Top brass liked the idea, and so did many consumers. This led to the janitor getting a generous promotion, where he is now an executive for PepsiCo. North Korean teachers were required to play the accordion. Musical instrument, also known as the people's instrument due to its convenient size, suitable for taking to marches. Students from all schools in the country are required to learn them. This explains why teachers need to pass an accordion exam before they get their teaching license during the 1990s. A melting glacier makes a fizzy noise. Male students attending Brigham Young University are not allowed to grow beards. A pistol can only be used by one hand. Because they are mainly used for self defense, they only allow one shot after every pulled trigger. Black taxis in London are tall for a reason, so gentlemen can ride in them without having to remove their top hats. Flipping a shark over will render it temporarily immobile. The largest living organism is an aspen grove, referred to as Pando, and it can be found in the state of Utah. It's made of 447,000 identical quaking aspen trees that cover over 106 acres. Someone will write and recite a poem at your funeral if you die in the Netherlands. Mostly the case for those who die without a next of kin. This practice is done so there will be at least one person at a funeral. Alan Shepard played golf on the moon. Ioannis Economou has been the chief translator of the European Parliament since 2002. Kummerspeck is German for the weight gain during emotional eating. Sears once sold houses. Cold water is just as cleansing as hot water. Modern detergents allow clothes to be cleaned equally with either warm or cold water. The only difference between the two is that warm water requires more energy. David Bowie helped to topple the Berlin Wall. Tap water in Manhattan is not considered kosher, as very small crustaceans have been found in the tap water. A park ranger from the U.S. was once hit by lightning 7 times, occurring from the years 1942 to 1977. This park ranger holds the name of the human lightning rod in the Guinness Book of World Records. A fedora was originally a hat made for women. The story of Beauty and the Beast was aimed to make women open to arranged marriages. In the original 1740 tale, states that the beast was an elephant fish hybrid. The story mainly revolves around the idea of accepting arranged marriages for the sake of allegiance that is greater than them as a person. Bottled water technically has an expiration date, but the date is for the bottle itself, not the water. It's because over time plastic will start leaking into it. Many pets from the USA run away on July 4th due to their fear of fireworks. Queen Elizabeth cannot sit on the Iron Throne. By royal law, the Queen is not allowed to sit upon a foreign throne. This is vital information that was discovered when the Queen visited the set of the Game of Thrones in Northern Ireland. Incan people used knots to keep track of records. These knots were tied to pendants and cords. The knots are better known as a quipu, and its meaning depends on its position in the cord. Over 600 examples of quipu have been discovered already. Monty Python has one of the most requested songs for funerals in England, which is Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. State of Virginia may contain hidden treasure. The Bale ciphers are set coded texts that are said to reveal the location of hidden treasure. Researchers believe that this is worth over $43 million in gold, silver, and jewels. Only one of the 3 texts has been encoded so far. Fake ambulances are hired in Russia by the wealthy. They use it as a taxi for faster and more convenient ways of getting to their destination. The vehicles are hired for approximately $200 an hour. Most businesses do not see the practicality of having a diaper table, but quickly change their minds after being given the idea that women would have to change their babies' diapers on a bathroom floor. The world's most successful pirate was a woman, known as Ching Shi. She was a widow of Ching Ai and easily succeeded her husband's crew of over 1,800 ships and 80,000 men. The KKK was taken down with help from Superman. A 16-episode series titled The Adventures of Superman was aired on the radio in the 1940s. The series incorporated finding activists that Stetson Kennedy had been able to get while undercover in the KKK. Milk wagons are the reason why we have roadway lines. These lines were devised by a man who saw dots of milk spilling out from a moving milk wagon. considered to be the most important traffic safety device these days. A man was once saved by a sea lion. During a suicide attempt, a man by the name of Kevin Hines survived jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. However, during this jump, he had broken his back and it was causing him to drown. A nearby sea lion witnessed this and swam beneath the man to keep him afloat until the Coast Guards arrived. World's largest pyramid is not found in Mexico. It is called the Great Pyramid of Cholula, and is found in Puebla, Mexico, and is the record for the largest pyramid in the world. It is 4 times as big as the Pyramid of Giza. Some pandas fake pregnancy to get better health care. One example would be a Chinese panda named Ai Hin, who is believed to have shown signs of pregnancy. Zookeepers ensured she was given better care for an upcoming baby that never arrived. Inventor of Frisbee became a Frisbee himself. During the 1950s, Steady Ed invented the Frisbee, and later on the sport of disc golf in the 70s. He dedicated his life to Frisbees, so much so that it was stated in his final testimonials that he wished to have his ashes turned into a Frisbee. This was so he would be able to play with his son even when he wasn't around. That's pretty grim. Around 30,000 rubber ducks were lost at sea in 1992. They were included in a shipment from Hong Kong to the US. One of the crates filled with rubber ducks was lost in the Pacific Ocean, and to this day they continue to pop up on the shores from Australia to Alaska. Charles Darwin has a pet turtle that outlived him. The turtle named Harriet lived 124 years after Darwin's death. She was 176 years old by the time she passed away. The folds in a chef's hat represent the number of ways you can cook an egg. Cactus spines can be used to make hooks. Waterfalls have different classifications depending on how they descend. Neil Armstrong never actually said that's one small step for man. The astronaut corrected that it was that's one step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Also, no astronaut has ever uttered Houston, we have a problem in real life. Odds of getting a royal flush is 1 in 6,400. Sorry, 1 in 649,740. A straight flush is more likely in this case. Out of all possible combinations, the chance of getting a single pair is 42%. Driving south from Detroit will actually lead into Canada. The directions are to head north from Windsor, Ontario, cross the Detroit River. Eventually, you have already crossed into the border of the US and you must enter back into Canada. More people speak English as a second language than those who use it as their mother tongue. Sleep deprivation makes it hard to lose weight. The world's largest single drop waterfall is the Kaieteur Falls, located on the Potaro River in Guyana's rainforest. Your teeth are unique, and no two teeth from people will ever be alike. The most popular state bird is the northern cardinal. Out of the 50 states, 7 voted for the species as their favorite bird. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. A single dollar bill takes 5 cents to make. Baby otters are not able to swim. Snakes can predict earthquakes. The King of Hearts is the only king in a deck without a mustache. Only 2 diseases have been completely eradicated from the world, including smallpox and rinderpest. The only English word that ends with MT is dreamt, but a lot of people will use MT for other words. May 29th is Put a Pillow on Your Fridge Day. Opposite sides of a dice will always equal 7. Metal studs found on denim jeans serve a particular purpose. They are placed where the cloth is most likely to wear out faster, and they add as extra support for the cloth. Average adult spends more time on the toilet than they do exercising. About 7% of American adults believe that chocolate milk comes out of brown cows. Apple seeds contain cyanide. Frigate birds can sleep while they're flying because they only have to keep half of their brain awake. Only one capital in the U.S. has no McDonald's, known as Montpelier, Vermont. It is the smallest capital in America. People used to answer the phones with ahoy or ahoy hoy. Playing dance music will ward off mosquitoes because of the frequencies. Billy goats urinate on their heads to become more attractive. Movie trailers were originally shown after the movie, hence the name trailer. Among all the Disney princesses, Mulan has the highest kill count. Throughout the film, Mulan killed almost 2,000 people using an avalanche. Pinocchio cannot say, "My nose will grow now." If he was to speak the sentence, it would create a paradox. For his nose to grow, he would have to lie. However, it cannot grow unless otherwise the statement would be true. You are 13.8% more likely to die on your date of birth. Alaska is the only state whose name is a singular row on the keyboard. Many oranges are actually green. Vanta Black has a trademark. Anish Kapoor had won an executive right to the world's darkest shade of black and stated that only they could use it. Outraged, the creator of Pinkest Pink made the color available for everyone but Kapoor. A man once set a record by putting on 260 t-shirts. Queen Elizabeth was a trained mechanic. Optical illusions can be found at the bottom of the sea. While exploring an underwater volcano, explorers came across a small lake-like pool that was upside down. On a video, it looked unreal. 123456 is the most common password in America. The average American spends 2.5 days annually looking for a lost item. But Basenji dogs cannot bark, but that does not mean they are silent. They release more of a warbling yodel. The specific breed of dog is the only dog that can't bark. And dragonflies can't walk. Their legs are too weak for them to walk for more than 1 or 2 steps. The chicken is the closest relative to the T-Rex. 2/3 of millennials go to sleep naked. Sloths hold their breath longer than dolphins. More Monopoly money is printed annually than actual currency. Schoolmaster is an anagram of the classroom. Ravens are well aware when someone is watching them. An eagle is capable of killing a young deer and flying away with it. A baby spider is called a spiderling. A palindrome is a sentence that is the same read forwards and backwards. A few examples include "Do geese see God?" and "race car," and "Was it Eliot's toilet I saw?" A roar of a lion can be heard 5 miles away. An average male will become bored after 26 minutes of shopping. The US Navy uses Xbox controllers on their periscopes. There's a species of spider dubbed the hobo spider. Baby octopuses are the size of a flea. The premiere of the reality show 16 and Pregnant helped lower the rate of teen pregnancy. Up to 20% of power outages in the US are due to squirrels, who tend to chew on the wires. 95% of people text things they would never say to people in person. The Mayo Clinic made glow-in-the-dark cats while trying to find a cure for AIDS, mainly due to a specific protein in their bodies that was fluorescent green. The Antarctic glaciers are made of 3% penguin urine. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all banned in China. Honeybees can recognize human faces because they see a compilation of over 5,000 individual images in their eyes. The happiest prisoner on death row had an IQ of 46. Violin bows are made of horsehair, and it uses around 160 to 180 strands of hair, all attached to each other to form a ribbon. Thick and kinked hairs are removed so the bow remains smooth and straight. IKEA is an acronym, and it stands for Ingvar Kamprad Emetati Elmgard, the name of the company's owner. Stephen Hawking had a reception for time travelers in 2009, but did not publish news of this until after the event so that only real-time travelers were able to know about it. No one attended the event. A Norwegian island made dying illegal. It is illegal to die in Svalbard because they are unable to safely bury the deceased due to the permafrost. When people on this island are about to die, they are brought to the mainland Norway to pass away. Dr. Pepper does not have a period in its brand name. There's an underwater version of rugby where teams of six compete in a regulation pool while freediving. Mice only live for about 6 months in the wild. If they are kept as pets, their lifespan increases by 2 years. The backward punctuation mark is used to identify sarcasm. Flossing your teeth improves your memory. If you keep your gums healthy and avoid gum disease, it'll ease prevention of stiff blood vessels. Preventing these stiff blood vessels can prevent memory problems. A common souvenir people bring from the US are the red Solo cups. Ben and Jerry's has made a graveyard for their former flavors, including all discontinued ice cream flavors. Each flavor has its photo and its lifespan, and each one even has an epitaph for people to remember it by. Pluto was once temporarily closer to the Sun than Neptune was, from 1979 to 1999. About $3.70 is given to an American child per tooth that they lose. There's a scientific term for brain freeze. It's called sphenopalatine ganglion neuralgia. There is one letter that is not found on the periodic table, which is the letter J. The calling shotgun for the front passenger seat comes from a messenger. The original term is the shotgun messenger, and it was a term used to call the person who sat next to the driver. These messengers would act as guards and use shotguns to prevent criminals from getting too close. A single strand of spaghetti is actually referred to as spaghetto. Pointing your car keys to your head will help you find your car faster, because your head works like a radio transmitter because of the shape of the skull, to increase the range of the car's remote signal, allowing the car to respond faster. A jockey in 1923 managed to finish a race after dying. During the middle of the race, the jockey suffered from a heart attack, but his horse was able to finish the race on its own and won. The event in history is the first and only time it has ever occurred. The largest prime number has 17,425,170 digits. The largest grand piano in the world was built by a teenager. It's over 18 feet long and has 85 keys. A Polish doctor once faked an outbreak to keep the Nazis away. Eugene Lazowski announced that there was a typhus outbreak that ended up saving over 8,000 people during the Second World War. At the time, it was considered to be a smart move because Lazowski decided to tug on the German phobia about hygiene. The 1996 film Scream increased usage of caller IDs in the US. A spiked dog collar is actually meant to protect their necks from attack. It was invented by ancient Greece to protect the dogs against wolves. Jack Daniels, the founder of the famous whiskey, died from a toe injury after kicking a safe. It led to an infection and he died of blood poisoning. The boss in Metal Gear Solid 3 takes a week to beat. Player can either defeat them by not playing for 1 week or simply changing the date on the console. Battle the boss as you would normally until it is almost beaten, and after that quit the game and change the date to 1 or 2 weeks later. Planet was named Pluto thanks to an 11-year-old girl. She named the planet after the Roman god of the underworld because the planet was found to be frozen and lonely. Previously the planet was referred to as Planet X. The little girl lived till the age of 90 and died of April of 2009. 12 plants and 5 animals make up 75% of diets around the world. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization said this lowers major health risks. By concentrating our diets to the specific group, we become more resilient to diseases, pests, and climate change. Shakira was rejected from her elementary school choir group. Minnesota has the world's quietest room. It is so quiet you are able to hear your heart beat and the sound of your bones moving. People say this room is so quiet it can drive you crazy at about 45 minutes. Every decade, brain fibers lose 10% of their strength. The happiest country in the world have the highest antidepressant consumers. The official language of Ireland is not the most spoken in the country. Suator cocktails are served in Yukon. The drink has been served since 1970 and contains a shot of whiskey and a human toe floating inside the glass. Sorry, sour toe cocktails. All toes that are served with the drink have been mummified beforehand. The release of Pokemon Go increased game related accidents by 26.5%. During the first month of its release, damages over 25.5 million occurred. Two deaths were reported to have taken place while individuals were playing Pokemon Go, mostly on cliff edges. Mexican prisons do not punish you for non-violent attempts to escape. It's part of human nature to want freedom and is therefore not seen as a crime. However, factors such as property damage and violence will cause prison guards to practice necessary punishments. A BBC radio announcer on April 18, 1930, stated they did not have any news. The most mathematical flag in the world belongs to Nepal. In its constitution, there's a detailed step by step guide on how to draw the flag to its exact measurements, because it is one of the few countries that has a triangular flag. It did not take more than $1 million to build Mount Rushmore, even though it took 14 years to complete, and 400 workers built this monument from the ground up from 1927 to 1941. Samsung translates to 3 stars in Korean. Geckos will eat the skin they shed. The US government issued Santa Claus a pilot's license. Polar bears charge at a group of walruses while hunting. They attack those that are crushed or left behind in the mass panic. Seeing a polar bear directly attacking its prey is considered to be a rare occurrence. Adult cats will only meow at humans. Kittens will meow to their mothers, but more frequently to humans as it matures. Kittens will only meow at other cats to indicate hunger and a need for warmth. It has also been noted that cats' cries imitate the sound of crying babies, and humans are much more likely to respond to it. There are more arrangements in shuffling a deck of cards than there are stars in the sky. Shuffling a deck of cards has 8 times 10 to the power of 67 approximate arrangements possible. It is unlikely to end up with the same sequence of cards per shuffle of the deck. Therapy has been found least effective at battling depression compared to playing video games. Bi-weekly has two connotations. It can either be every 2 weeks or twice a week. The prefix bi is implied both or either, meanings depending on the context. In 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen from the Louvre. Connecticut accidentally issued an emergency evacuation alert in 2005. Noted all residents they need to evacuate the state immediately, and only 1% of its population tried to evacuate. Lemurs were once the size of gorillas. Adding all the numbers on a roulette wheel will be equivalent to 666. The numbers after Thanksgiving is the day after Thanksgiving is the busiest day for American plumbers, also known as Brown Friday. Mount Everest is not the tallest mountain in the solar system. That title goes to the Olympic Mons, which is 3 times as big as Everest. This mountain can be found on Mars. Russell Horning is famous on the internet as the Backpack Kid. He was born and raised in Georgia, gained popularity after Rihanna gave him a shout out on Instagram. He is known for creating the floss dance. The oldest currency in the world is the British pound. The Great Pyramid of Giza has 8 sides. The only innate fear we have at birth is the fear of falling and loud noises. The average horse is capable of creating 746 watts of power. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is tilted because of the soil at its base. Slavery was once legal in Mauritania. England and Portugal still maintain an alliance. Garlic is known to attract leeches. Uranus takes 84 years to orbit the Sun. A shape with 26 sides is known as a rhombokiboutahedron. Applying equal pressure on an egg will prevent it from breaking. There are over 6,000 species of grass. There's a term of a person that is perpetually afraid of being late. One second. Sorry, it doesn't say what the name is. That's great. The queen in an ant colony can live for 30 years. The map size in GTA 5 is twice the size of Manhattan. The paint on the Eiffel Tower is equivalent to 10 elephants in weight. The largest living thing on Earth is a tree. A giant sequoia named General Sherman, found protected at the California Sequoia National Park, is recorded to be 52,500 feet in volume. Sorry, the largest living thing on Earth, not the longest living. Um, Multiplying 1089 by 9 will give you the same numbers in reverse. August 17th is Black Cat Appreciation Day. A British scientist studying chocolate had her taste buds insured. The Titanic included dogs as their passengers. China has a series of underground tunnels that are over 3,000 miles long. Pit bulls are ranked as the most affectionate breed of dog. A tanning bed increases your risks of developing melanoma. The cleanest dog breed in the world is a poodle. Owls have special edges on their feathers to dissipate airflow when it flies. Because of this, their flights is silent. Human brain uses 20% of all oxygen in your body. Insect population of the world is 1 billion times more than the human population. Kangaroos will never stop growing until they pass away. And the flashes of light when you rub your eyes are called phosophenes. And last one, Snoop Dogg's real name is Cortozar Calvin Brodeus Jr. Whew, that was a lot of facts, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed that, Daddy-O. And I hope you're feeling better really, really soon.